and welcome to Fireline. I'm Captain Wade with Tampa Fire Rescue. Recently, our department has been facing some very tough questions, both internally and from the news media. So to assure you that Tampa Fire Rescue is acting appropriately on some of these topics, we asked Tampa Fire Chief Pete Botto to join us in the studio here today. Chief Botto, thank you for taking some time.
My pleasure.
Here. Now, Chief, let's go ahead and get right onto some of the topics that are coming up. Recently, an article in the Tampa Tribune discussed rescue run reports and the amount of money that could be collected, but something about rescue reports are missing. I understand the department's been trying to address this problem for years. And what's going on to address the problem of missing run reports and billing?
Well, we had an internal audit to try and show us a direction to try and catch and address exactly what was wrong and give us some insight into it. And we went back to our personnel in the streets, and with a new computer system that we have, and we'll speak on that after too, the Cisco system, as a way to address this, to turn around and minimize potential problems, and it should help it dramatically as far as the missing numbers. Actually, about what it was something like 3%. And when you figure an organization as large as ours, with as much paperwork as comes through, some felt that was acceptable. We didn't.
No, 3% of the runs missing. Now, actually, the department has been getting computerized for years. We've had computers in the stations for a long time now.
Well, we had what they call computers back in the early 80s that we were talking about, which were really just terminals. And then we went in a computerized system, and we've been experimenting with it. But really, we've never caught up to what we should be as far as technology. And right now, we're getting to that stage that I think we're going to be able to show dramatic improvements due to that technology and being able to take advantage of what we have out there available.
And we're actually getting ready to go into a pilot phase. I understand we're getting ready to start training the paramedics.
Right.
A couple of months where they actually have to do double work.
Double work. They're not looking forward to that, I'm sure, but we've got a good bunch that has been very cooperative on the tough times, and this is one of them. The Cisco project, when it gets in place after the initial training and duplicate run reports to make sure that everything works, should decrease their workload significantly, and at the same time ensure that we're able to process the paperwork properly because of the computer. Initially, though, it's going to be some hard work.
And we've been looking at computers for years. I remember we went through one system at one time where the reports were actually being scanned in, and that took twice as much work, and it just didn't work out for our system.
It didn't work out at all, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to get our personnel, all of us are going to train. I'm going to train on it. Staff's going to train. So if at least in spirit we're going to be a part of it, we're going to know what's happening out there in the field and what our personnel are going through. And we want to make sure that the input is in there right, where this won't happen anymore. There won't be a duplication of efforts. There won't be twice the workload. We'll be able to cut everything down in a manageable number the way it should be.
Computers, because there's about 40-some thousand EMS runs a year run by Tampa Fire Rescue.
Right, and increasing on a daily basis.
So we've got a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, we do.
From there. So hopefully the computerization will address this problem.
We can save some of the rainforest now.
Okay. We've got community investment tax to talk about.
Right.
A lot of controversy surrounding the community investment tax, primarily because of the stadium being attached to it. But the fire and the police services, as promised, are getting their fair share. What has Tampa Fire Rescue recently received from that community investment tax?
It saved us. We showed the five new engines that we've gotten, state of the art, and we're expecting another 5 next year. The cars for the fire inspectors. We had one that literally had to drive around continually with his window down, whether it was raining, cold, because of the exhaust fumes that were coming back in. And as bad as that is, that's the only way we could get around and function. Now they have 4 new cars there, and the older ones that were in good shape have been recycled. Through the community investment tax, we'll get to the point where we have brand new, good equipment, and we'll be able to replace them on a regular basis, which is something that we got away from in the past that caused us all our problems.
Because I don't think people realize, when these fire trucks, the reason we keep saying new is because once they get about 10 or 15 years on them, think about a personal car with 10 or 15 years on it, and we operate these vehicles a heck of a lot rougher than you would operate your minivan at home or whatever. So these new vehicles, we're getting them out there. The cars that are coming in, not only are they also getting the inspectors out there, but also because the inspectors are getting out, also we can bill more often. We also bill for those services.
We have every major commercial building, every target hazard that we have out there, we have to inspect. We're supposed to inspect on an annual basis. We were getting away from that because literally we couldn't get to those buildings. The cars were broken down, Our inspectors used to have to share them. Now with each inspector having a vehicle that's actually working, we can get out there and we do bill for these services. That money in turn goes back to the citizens, to the general fund, to offset the cost of our services and to be able to allow us to provide more.
And I think we should mention, I mean, this is 1997. Some of those cars we were replacing are 1986 K cars.
God, yeah.
Those were disposable vehicles, supposed to be, what, 2-3 years and get another one here.
We've had them over 10 years and still going. And we're going to try and make sure that we can get them to last as long as we have to. But there's a point of diminishing returns where it's not feasible to do that. It just costs us.
Between the loss of the inspector's
Sure.
time, the mechanic's time, and items along that line. There's a new tower truck or something that's going to be put on order.
That was through...
and that's a lot of money. These things are not cheap
no,
apparatus.
they're not
fire
cheap. When
apparatus.
you're looking at those, you're talking $500,000 and up on an aerial ladder. We've got one through the community, through the bond refinancing.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done things in conjunction with that, and we've been able to make them last. Aerials especially you would have going. One of the ones we had was, I drove it when I was on. Way past the date it should be on the street.
Took the horses off of it, put an engine on
Yeah.
it, and just kept it going. So that'd probably back in the old Station 3 days or something.
It was.
Huh?
We literally had
There in
the
Hyde
hooks
Park.
from the harnesses hanging on the walls.
Oh, from the fire stamp?
Yeah.
Nice. Let's get on to another newspaper article that came out. St. Petersburg Times wrote a whole series of articles talking about women in the fire service in particular. And well, let's first off, for the people who are watching, about how many women are there in the Tampa Fire Service? Now, we're not talking here about clerical staff. We're talking about uniformed firefighters, sworn
we have
firefighters.
28.
We have 28 out of a department of about
501.
Now, some people would look at that and go, geez, that's only a few percent, Chief.
According to one reporter, it was 5.3. I'll take her word for it.
Okay, so we'll say it's 5%.
Very small.
It's a small percentage of numbers, but comparing that around, actually, when we compare ourselves to other departments, we're not doing too bad, I understand.
No, we're not. There's a lot of them that don't have any at all. And, well, we hired 100% of the females available in the last list. That turned out to be one. So we had one female that applied.
Okay.
We're searching for good candidates.
We'll come back to that one in just a moment, because I do want to talk to you about people applying, the ladies applying to the department, because we do, like you said, one lady applied, we hired her, that's 100%, but we sure could use a few more qualified applicants in a sentence. Now, these ladies that we have on the job, some of them hold upper management, middle management positions.
We have,
one of them's in the executive staff, right up there at your level.
Holly Boggs, our quality management officer. Right.
So these ladies aren't just at the bottom rung, they're all...
No, and I think what you're going to find out is the largest percentage of promoted positions have gone to the females on our department.
So we're doing pretty good there.
We're doing good on that.
I understand also, now this may have come from the previous administration, but you've kept it going. There's a women's advisory board that's supposed to meet on a regular basis, and if there's any problems or concerns that the ladies see coming to the department, they're supposed to be able to, through this group, if they want to come to you. Have you heard anything lately? What type of things does this?
We've been lucky as far as some of the problems that were addressed were the restrooms, not enough of them, and we've used the bond money and other things to go ahead and address that. Mostly comfort issues, sinks in the break room, that type of thing, and we've done it. Betty Coleman is drinking prevention. She handled public education, public information at one time past. It's hard to fill your shoes, but she does a good job.
She did a great job.
And she handles the Women's Advisory Board and listens to everything that comes up. Yeah. You know, our personnel, they're not shy about talking, and she speaks freely.
And even if the ladies, if they did have a problem, a serious problem, something more than a comfort type problem, they've got other routes that they can go to, and you would legitimately support those. Right. What are some of those routes in case one of those ladies is watching the show and
Well, that's the thing. Anyone can initially go to their supervisors. They may not feel comfortable on that. They can go ahead and go up to the deputy chief, the personnel chief, the assistant, myself. If for some reason they don't feel comfortable speaking to a male on the issue, regardless of whom it is, we have Holly that's part of our staff that they can speak to. She was a member of the executive board for the union for a long time. They have Betty Coleman that's from the Women's Advisory Board that they can speak to. Or if they don't feel comfortable at all with anyone because they think maybe in the department itself there's still a problem, they can go outside of personnel and speak to Sarah Lang, Director of Governmental Operations in the personnel system. There's a lot of avenues they can take, and they're free to take. We encourage that. We need to know if there's anything wrong. That's the only way we can correct it.
Because I mean, you sit in Station 1 up on the 3rd floor.
Sure.
The problem might be at an outlying station.
Right.
You're unaware of, but as soon as it's brought to your attention,
We're
you
taking
encourage it.
action on it.
You would like
Sure.
at least the chance to take some action
Right.
on it
Yeah.
before it becomes a
And
serious
that's one of the
problem.
frustrating things is that you find out a lot of times you'll have an issue where two parties are affected, he said, she said type of thing. We have to let matters run its course through other entities, and that's what we do. If we feel we're involved, we'll get somebody to look at it with an unbiased eye.
And hopefully, I know some of the situations I've come across in my 15 or so years on the department, some of it's just been a communications thing.
Right.
If the parties can sit down and understand how one is offending the other, sometimes it's darn, I
realize
understand
that, yeah.
Please excuse me, and let's see if I'll knock it off. And we're not
Yeah.
talking about gross actions, but we're just talking about the inadvertent things that sometimes can occur. What would you say to women thinking about getting into the fire service and starting their own fire service career?
I think this is a perfect time to get in. There is so much of an emphasis now on being aware of what's going on, of minimizing, of completely stopping problems before they become that I think this is a good time to do this, to turn around and get in. We've gone a lot to medical. I know at one time some of the females out there were intimidated by the fact that firefighting was so physical and involved so much upper body strength that intimidated some. Well, we've gotten to the point now where a lot of what we do is medical. It still involves physical strength, but a lot of it is mental, emotional. There are a lot of opportunities out here for women outside that too good to pass up. And because of the fact that we're trying to look for qualified applicants, good qualified applicants, less competition, this is a time for them to get in.
And speaking as an instructor doing some of this stuff, a lot of these procedures, although they look like it takes a lot of strength, a lot of them is just technique. A lot of it's endurance,
Right.
which somebody who really puts an effort out can get
And
through
that's
to.
what we found out. We have 28 very qualified females out there that can do anything and everything that arises. They're great role models. All they need to do is to come see them in action, and they'll see for themselves. If they're willing to take the time and effort, they can be there. They can do it.
And we've mentioned some of them have even risen to
Yeah.
upper management
Yeah.
ranks over the 20 or so years they've been on. A couple of them been on about
Well, let's
20
see,
years
two
now.
of them came on in August of '78.
All right, so 19 years,
19 years.
and they're doing quite
Very
well.
fast, yeah.
They're doing well. And besides that, the fire department isn't just about fighting fires. You
No.
mentioned we have EMS work, hazmat work, inspections,
Right.
prevention, all sorts of other areas people can go into, although the fire service is the basis
Right.
where everything
Everything
starts
else.
off from. Let's go ahead and talk about another topic that has somehow managed to get your name into the headlines a few times. Private ambulance.
Private
Now,
ambulance.
before we get into it too much, probably the people watching need a little explanation about, and if you could provide this for us, what is a basic ambulance, a BLS ambulance, and an ALS ambulance, paramedic ambulance? What's the difference for the lay person?
Basic life support, non-life-threatening services, non-emergency services, if they want to call them that. Those are handled.
An example, what would a basic?
Well, you've got somebody that's got pneumonia, difficulty in breathing without being too severe, asthma type thing, something that's going on for a long term. Someone's fallen, they've hurt themselves, but not to the point where they're going to bleed to death or that type of things. Actually,
Okay. They
our
need
guys can
medical
tell you most
attention.
of the calls that come in at 2:30 in the morning that someone's had for 3 weeks. Those are the BLS calls, but we handle them all.
Okay, so, and then the advanced paramedic type service?
The advanced, that's when you start getting into your heart attacks, you're getting your serious trauma, the auto accidents that involve extrication, where somebody's bleeding profusely, major illnesses.
And pretty much in the city of Tampa now, the private ambulances provide the basic life support ambulance
Right.
transport, and the fire rescue, both here and in Hillsborough County,
Provide the advanced
provide
life
the
support
advanced life
services.
support services. The more key thing.
At one point, I came on at the point where the ambulance services initially were providers, and what you had were two people that came in a hearse, literally threw a body on there and took off. And that was part of the service. There was a lot of competition. It was very chaotic. Then it went to the point where Tampa Fire got involved in it heavily, but we were doing the advanced life support, and we still wanted to go ahead and let others do the basic life support. Now, I'm a firm believer that Tampa Fire Rescue, especially based on all the situations now, should provide the total service, advanced and basic.
And the item is too, if these companies can bill and make money for just
Right.
picking somebody up from their house that's sick or slightly injured and taking them to the hospital, why not go ahead, since we already have the system in place? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
And let our people bill,
And let our people do it.
the tax coffers get
Right.
that money back.
We're going to train to the highest levels because we're going to train to the advanced life support,
Mhm.
which makes it easier than to do the basic as well. Our personnel are in it for a career. We're not in this to make money. We're here to serve the public. What we have to gain, they have to gain. We're here to serve them.
Tampa Fire Rescue's been here for 100 years, and we'll
We've
be
been
here
for 100 years.
100 years from now.
Hopefully. And we
Will you still
continue
be
to
the
get
chief?
better. I
Mayor
feel like I've
Greco's
been there
still-
that long lately. I think Greco can be there that long. He's
Mayor
unbelievable.
Greco will still be in charge,
Yeah.
and we'll still be moving on. How is Tampa Fire Rescue dispatching the ambulance service? How have they divided the city up? Just so there's a basic understanding.
From Florida Avenue, west, I guess, city limits to city limits, north to south, that AMR has that one. And then Nebraska over to the other end of the county, America
Is America, which is
has
Mr.
it.
Mason's.
Yeah. And it goes in a computer, and it's just based on wherever the calls come in. If a call comes in on one side, the computer picks it up, turns it over to one entity. If it comes in on the other, they take it. If
And
neither one of them is available and not able to get there in any length of time, Tampa Fire Rescue will pick it up just to ensure that our citizens get that service they've asked for.
And the ambulance companies agreed to that initially.
And they agreed to that initially. They had representatives from each one, so they were all aware of what it was.
Chief, this department lately has received more than its fair share of bad press. I mean,
Right.
don't get me wrong. You know, we've had some good press too. You know, we've been doing our jobs, and that's what counts. And there's been media attention called to that too, and that's what the public expects. But what type of feelings do you have towards local media? Do you harbor any grudges? Do you think your firefighters should, or are they just doing their job, bringing to the attention the public record?
We don't mind anything that's brought out, and what we tell them is if you see anything negative, bring it to our attention. We'll not only apologize, we'll correct anything and everything that we do see. What we don't want to see are distortions of the facts, omissions of the facts, creating news as opposed to reporting it. And negativity seems to sell. That's what always does it. And unfortunately, I think we see too much of that. I think in times as this progresses, everyone will see all the facts come to light. And at that time, we'll be justified, but that'll
Between
be
now
back
and then.
there in a little column by the obituaries. In the meantime, we're hung in the press and everybody's a bad guy.
And that's a shame.
That is
That's a shame because it
We have
reflects negatively.
501 true heroes out there in the street that have literally dedicated their lives to serving the public. They do an excellent job of it. And I don't want to put them in a bad light by anything that I do. I don't want them portrayed in that way in any manner because they don't deserve it. And unfortunately, that's what's happened lately.
And that's what's happening. Chief, I think that's where we can probably close, unless you have
Okay.
any other thing else. I mean, that was a great statement. That's the point we wanted to get to, that if people see these articles in the press, remember that they are sometimes limited to the politics and to the business of running the fire rescue service, but it's not necessarily the people in the street. The people in the street are still showing up every morning, checking out their equipment, getting out there, running the calls, and making sure that the business of fire rescue is being handled every day of the year.
Every day of the year.
Okay. Very good. Chief Botto, thank you for joining us. For Fireline, I'm Captain Bill Wade. Good day.